as easy as that. Don't have to worry about music or anything. Right, we're going to start. We're going to start on the floor. And we're going to lie all the way down to the ground. And I'm going to take the block out to the side. I'm going to take a couple of minutes in Shavasana. So I'm going to have a Shavasana with the knees high, feet on the floor wide, so the knees rocking a little bit. And I'm going to wriggle out the spine, the pelvis, and the shoulders, and get that nice long feeling into the back of the neck. If you've been looking at a keyboard and laptop screen or computer screen all day, you probably haven't had your posture in the best position. It could be. So this will feel quite different. I'll just take a few moments to absorb that into the body, let the muscles release, taking some deeper breaths, maybe some audible sighs out of the mouth if you have had a particularly hard day. Or you just like doing it. Okay, we'll take a little breath from there. And we'll take the block and just place that on top of the thighs to start with. So it's in a nice position. And then I'm going to bring my fingertips on top of the collarbones, elbows together. And inhale the elbows out above the head to the back of the mat, and then slide the elbows along the floor if I'm able to, towards the ribs, and then across the chest again. And inhale. So I'm going to feel a lot of movement through the shoulder blades. Being on the floor, we're going to feel the shoulder blades moving against the ground. And we will certainly notice if there's any tight, sticky spots in the shoulders. Take a few rotations in the opposite direction. Interesting, when I do it this way, lying on the ground, I can really hear some sort of groaning and crunching going along underneath. And I'm doing this sitting upright. It feels marvelous. Smooth. So there is definitely a difference. There are some tight muscles underneath the shoulder blades working away. Now finally let the hands come to the point where I can pick up the block and take it towards the ceiling. Lengthen both legs out, pointing the toes towards the sky. Inhale the hands towards the back of the mat to the floor and lengthen the toes out, drawing the belly in. Exhale, flex the toes back, press out through the heels and bring the hands up above the chest. And just float the opposite way. So block goes down, toes go out, belly goes in. We lift up, feet flex, toes spread. Again, just taking that little bit of time to enjoy that last inch or so. And hearing my heels rubbing on the floor, squeaking away. Just grateful that it's my heels that are squeaking and not anything else. And we'll take that to the back for a last time. And then draw block up. And take a little breath and just bring that behind the back of the head. As I do so, I draw my left knee in towards my chest and take the hands around the shins. So, Pada Uttanasana. Wanted to give it a name. Lengthening out through the right heel, foot is flexed, toes towards the sky. Taking the weight of the leg a little bit from the ground. So just the heel's lifted, but the calf is still touching, just a fraction. And I'm going to release that leg. Bring both knees high, and then bring the right knee in by itself. Slide the left leg out. Have a little check, make sure you're happy. Leg away. Using the right knee towards the right armpit. And we'll release. Going to bring both feet back in towards the body. Arms out wide. Take a little breath and let the legs roll over to the left side. We'll draw the knees up. Roll across to the opposite side. Doing our best to relax down. A rotation through the spine. A little bit of work in the hips. And then we'll bring the knees back up. As we arrive, we'll just straighten the spine out a little bit and bring the knees in towards the chest. Wide. Chin in towards the chest. Just slide your hands down towards the outside edge of your feet for happy baby. We'll take one sole of the foot towards the sky at a time. Try and lay the tailbone down onto the floor. And then ease the spine gently back down to the floor so that block becomes a little bit more useful in this pose. We're actually trying to draw the belly in a little bit. Imagine that you can feel all of the muscles inside the pelvis and draw them down towards the floor and towards the front of the mat. So you might feel your legs move away from you a little bit as that happens. And try and relax the shoulders at the same time. Strong grip for your fingertips. 3, 2, 1, as I say, and then we release. Woohoo! And then roll gently over onto our side, using the hands to come back up. And move the block out to the side and swing the feet behind, come onto the heels. And let yourself sit up nice and tall. I'm going to bring the right arm across the chest for surface stretch. So just bring in the arm directly across, breathing into the back of the shoulders a little. And then we'll open up So go across the opposite way. And we'll release. Come forward into tabletop. Lengthen the legs out, come into planks. We lift the hips as high as we think the shoulders are. And we try to press the body away from the floor. We feel the core muscles integrate a lot more as we do that, pressing down through the hands and pushing out through the heels. And for what feels like the 100th time this week, I'll bring my knees to the floor underneath and take cat-cow. Just rolling through gently, round in the spine. Inhaling forwards and exhaling. And then we'll come back into neutral. And to keep the shoulders over the wrists, I'm going to take the knees back a few inches and allow them to be about hip distance apart, and then cross the ankles. Going to lift the toes just away from the floor. So I'm now pivoting on said ankles. I'm going to take the hands out wider than the mat. I'll take a little breath, let the elbows bend, come down about halfway and press up. And hence we shall call this from now on a press up. Come down and press. Now, quite often when we do press ups in yoga, we do a yoga version where we bring the elbows in towards the body, but today we are letting them move out to the sides. So it's more of a sort of a 45 degrees angle out to the side and back. And pressing away. You might find that easier, or if you've got particularly used to doing yoga style press ups for the last 10 years, might be a challenge just to coordinate. We'll sit back onto the heels as we untuck the toes and move back into child's pose, leaving the arms outstretched. Taking a couple of breaths here. So we're trying to keep the shoulders nicely away from the ears as we do these press-ups. We'll come back up into that starting position with the arms out wide, crossing the ankles over the opposite way, if you can remember which way you had them first of all, keeping the belly in, and then allow yourself to take your pressy up, which really should be called a pressy down as well. You're actually trying to resist the temptation to crash into the floor. Just 5 of each. Working into a different muscle range in the pectoral and the triceps and the forearms, just hitting them in a slightly different place. Come down to the last one. And press out. Ooh, untangle, push it back again. We'll bring the hands onto the mat, ready for down dog. Just a few breaths here in child's pose. And we'll lift up onto all fours. Shoulders over wrists. Tuck toes underneath. Lift ourselves into down dog. Static or moving legs, your choice. feet are hip distance apart. Hands are flat to the floor. Fingers are more or less pointing forwards. Okay, back into steady position. And we'll move into a high plank as we breathe in. And on the exhale, we'll lift up and back. Inhale forwards. And exhale back. 3 more. Inhale forwards. Exhale back, draw the core muscles in as you lift up. Inhale. Imagine someone's got some hands lifting you up through your core into your down dog. We'll come forwards into the last one. As we arrive, we'll step the feet out as wide as the mat. Bring the hands in far enough for the heels to touch the floor. Snoopy style down dog. We bring the left hand across to reach for that right angle. Try and keep 2 straight legs. Rotate the body under so you're looking underneath your armpit. Cross over to the opposite side. Try and press the hips back and up. Heels down. One last breath. Back into our down dog. Bring the hands to the front of the mat. Bring the toes back into hip distance apart, and then we'll lift up onto tippy toes, straight legs, walking into the front of the mat with many steps. Many steps. And then some more steps until we get a little bit tight towards the front of the mat. We need to start bending the legs a little bit, waddle, and eventually arrive at the front of the mat. Bring hands under the hips, soft knees and flat back to lift up. And hands in towards your heart as you breathe in. Exhale down to the floor. Stepping the right foot back into lunge. Left foot back into plank. Knees to the floor. Bend the elbows back. Bring the chest and the body to the floor. We take the fingers out wide, come up onto the fingertips, elbows lifted, shoulders retract back and in. Lengthen the thighs away as you exhale. Press into the hands. Open the spine. Keep it shallow for the first couple. Then see if you can lengthen the spine and get a little more height on the further versions. There's only going to be 5, so it's kind of warming the spine up, but this is the first round of 2, so you don't have to get super high in this first set. There's another sneaky set coming along in a moment, just like buses. Okay, we'll bring the hands down to the bottom of the ribs, press back, sit onto the heels. So it's a semi-child's pose. Come forwards, we'll move it into plank, we'll take half plank. Let's just change for up dog. Back into down dog. Draw right into the chest. Lunge. Fingertips, take a little breath. Step into the forward fold. Hands under the hips, soft knees and a flat back. The hands into the heart again as you inhale up. Exhale down. Left foot back into lunge. Right foot back into plank. Knees to the floor, elbows back, chest to the ground. Lengthen away, hands out wide. Exhale up on your breath. Inhale on the way down. Keep the legs lengthening away. Some more. Pulling on the neck. Hands at the bottom of the ribs, press away from the floor. You tuck the toes under, we sit onto the heels. Come forwards again into plank. Push forwards for half plank. To up dog. Down dog. Left knee into the chest for lunge. Take a little breath, step it forwards. Hands on hips and lift the up. This time we'll take the hands high, palms together, through to the heart, exhaling down to the floor. Take a little breath here. Right foot to the back of the mat. Let the knee down, bring the hands back past the line of the heel. We're going to sit gently backwards, pivoting on the front foot to hopefully a straight leg. We'll come right up onto the fingertip edges, so you might bring the hands all the way underneath you to get a little more height. Want to draw the tummy muscles in and try to imagine a flat line or straight line from crown of the head to the hips. So rather than folding over and getting that sort of compressed round spine, we're actually trying to get it flat and long. We'll come forwards again, bring the hands through with us, tuck the toe on the back foot underneath, drop the heel in for warrior two. Bring the hands alongside the body. As we lift, we'll take the right hand up, cartwheel into our warrior. Inhale the hands high, and rotate down to the floor. And step it back into plank, half plank, up dog, down dog, right knee into the chest for lunge. As you exhale, stepping into the forward fold, hands into the hips, and we lift. Inhale, hands high, hands through the heart. Exhale down. Left foot back, knee to the floor, fingers come back. Inhale, exhale it back. Pivot on the front leg, spread the toes, face the sky, come right up onto the fingertips again. Coming forwards, hands come through, back leg lifts, heel drops down, hands alongside as we lift. Left arm comes up, we open up into warrior two. Inhale high, down to the floor, back into that plank, half plank, up dog, down dog, and then a little bit squeaky on the vocals there. Left knee into the chest, bringing the foot through, shows how hard I'm working. Take a breath, step it into the forward fold, hands onto the hips, and we lift up. Inhale high again, hands through the heart, exhale to the floor. Taking the right foot back and dropping the knee to the ground. Bring your hands alongside your body, draw the belly in, tailbone down. As the chest lifts, take the hands high. Allow yourself to interlace the fingers, index finger pointing up towards the sky. We'll take a side bend to our left and lengthen out through the body. So trying to lift it up out of the pelvis. Come back to the center. And out to the opposite side. Bring ourselves to the center, hands to the floor. Back toes underneath. Lift the knee, warrior two. Hands alongside that right arm. Helps us lift up. Inhale high. Lengthen out, rotate to the floor. Into our plank, half plank. Up dog. and down dog. Draw the right knee in, down, bring the foot through. Take a little breath. Step it into the front of the mat. Hands on the hips and we lift up. Hands to the sky. Inhale. And through your heart and exhale down to the floor. Keep it long, weight into the toes, knees soften to help the thighs engage. Left foot back, knee to the ground. And hands alongside the body, send the tailbone down, draw the belly in. Lift yourself up slowly. Bring palms together. Interlace the fingers, index finger points. We'll take it over to the right. Few breaths here. Try and draw the shoulders back. Straight arms, lengthen out. Come back to the center. Exhale out to the opposite side. Into the center again, hands to the floor. Back knee lifts, heel drops in, warrior two. Left arm comes forwards to help us up. Inhale high and down to the floor. To plank, half plank. Up dog. Down dog. And left knee in for lunge. And step it forward. Exhale in. Hands to the hips and we'll lift. Inhale high. Into the heart, exhale down. And take the right foot back. Drop the heel in. Bring the hands alongside. Right arm floats forwards to help with the lift into warrior two. This time the hands will come behind the back. We're moving into a humble warrior. So draw the shoulders back, hands down to the floor. Rotate the chest and hips. Keep the back foot connected, knee over the front ankle. Lean out as you take your breath. And then on the exhale of your next breath, slide onto the inside of the thigh, lifting the hands towards the sky, keeping the hips over the center line of the mat. Hands to the floor, stepping back into plank, half plank, up dog, down dog, right knee into the chest, exhale through, step into the forward fold, hands to the hips, last side, inhale high, through the heart and down. Left foot back, drop the heel in. Hands alongside the body. That left arm lifts us up into our warrior two. Exhale the hands behind. Take a breath in. Rotate the chest and hips. Exhale out halfway. Breath in. Fold the rest of the way down, as low as you dare, taking the hands high, pressing into the back foot, reconnecting. As you're looking towards your back foot, you might feel and see things happening in your feet as it's trying to find balance and pressure to move downwards. Hands to the floor, back into plank, push forwards, half plank to up dog, down dog, Draw the left knee in for lunge. Little breath. Stepping forwards. Hands onto the hips. Lift ourselves up. Inhale high. Hands into the heart. We close the eyes. And stand. Take stock. How do we feel? What's happening with our breath? What's happening to our heart? What's happening to that feeling of energy running around the body? Pretty much everything should feel like it's alive and awake. As we open the eyes, we'll let the hands come up towards the sky. Bring hands through the heart and exhale down to the floor. Take a little breath and take the right foot to the back of the mat into our lunge. Drop the heel and ready for warrior two. Hands alongside the body. With the right arm forwards and lift up. Now we're going to slowly bring ourselves into reverse warrior. Ease the hand over towards the back of the mat. Feel that long stretch down the side of the body. Come back into our warrior two and extend forward slowly into extended side angle. We'll take the right hand up towards the sky and then lengthen that out, palm facing towards the front of the mat. A little weight into that front forearm, really the body is holding up. Trying to get even weight through both legs. Feel the inner groin on the back leg and the thigh activate as you press down, and you know you're actually working into the leg. Rotate the chest round as much as you can to the long side of the mat. And we'll come back out of that. Inhale high. And we'll bring the hands down to the floor on the inside of the front foot. Slowly bring ourselves to the long side. Now we're going to turn the toes out. Draw the belly in, let the bottom settle a little bit. And then bring the hands onto the thighs to lift the body up. So we come into what is known as goddess pose. We'll take a little breath from there. Wriggle the feet so they feel like they're really underneath the knees. And then keeping the hands on the thighs, but with light pressure. We're going to lift one heel and then the other heel away from the floor and hold there. So very little weight in the hands. Allow the shoulders to relax and the spine lift out of the pelvis. And we'll soften the heels to the floor. Draw the belly in again. And ease ourselves long down towards the ground. Bring the hands to the floor. We're going to walk the fingers towards the back of the mat, pivoting on the heels so we can come down into a ninja squat to one side. Bring the hands in towards the body. And we'll lift, scoot to the front of the mat, or similar. Slowly walk the fingers around to the front of the mat. Step myself back into down dog. Bend the knees and come into a wave plank. And lift back up into down dog. Soften the knees, draw the belly in, wave into the plank, and lift back into down dog. Soften the knees, wave plank, back into down dog. And from here, we'll draw the right knee in through for lunge. Take a little breath and step into the front of the mat. Hands onto the hips and lift up. Inhale high. And through the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Left foot back, drop the heel in, ready for warrior two. Put the arm forwards to open ourselves up. Settle, make sure you feel planted. Turn the palm on the front hand for reverse warrior. Try to make sure the back leg feels active. There's no bending knee. Foot is pressing down into the floor. You feel all of the leg muscles, including the buttock, will lift a little on that back leg. I'll come back to warrior two. Extend out over the front side. Forearm down. Top arm lifts. Palm goes forwards. And we reach up to the front of the mat. Ooh. Front leg is starting to feel a little bit wobbly. Back into warrior two. Inhale the hands high and bring them down onto the inside of the front foot. Walk the fingers around to the long side, turning the toes out. Bring the heels underneath as we sit the bottom down a little bit. Hands onto the thighs, we lift up. Relax the shoulders. We'll lift one heel, then the other heel. Driving this tailbone down. And that tilts the pelvis, allows the spine to lift. That way we take less weight into the hands. Shoulders are nice and relaxed. One more breath. Heels down. Ease our way forwards, keeping the belly drawn in, hands to the floor. Going to move the block all the way to the front of the mat, ready for later on. And then walk fingers towards the back of the mat to squat down into the ninja style squat. Toes to the sky, fingertips are close into the body. We're trying to lift up as much as we can. And then we'll move towards the front of the mat. And then we'll rotate towards the front of the mat. Step back into our down dog. Bends the knees. Wave into plank. Number one. Back into down dog. Bend the knees. Wave for number two. And lift into down dog. Bend the knees for number three. Plank. And then draw the left knee in. Lunge. Take a little breath. Step ourselves forward. We'll move the block end on across the front of the mat. Hands onto the hips. And let ourselves lift up. Hands high as I breathe in towards the heart. We'll step back a little ways. We're going to come into our favorite warrior three pose, where there's one arm lifted and one leg lifted. So we'll bring the hands in towards the heart, hinge over the hips, take a little breath, and we'll start with the left foot towards the back of the mat. I'm going to bring the block in so that I can just get the knuckles with my outstretched hands to touch, and then wrap the fingers over the top. From here, I'm going to take a little breath, lean into the front leg and spring on the back foot to lift up into the first phase. So standing on right leg, left leg is lengthening out up and high as my hip. Toes point down to the floor, the hip bones are square. I take my weight into the left hand and turn the block so it's pointing forwards. It's a little bit easier for the hand to work with than the shoulder then. Let the right hand come down towards the ground, and then slowly, when you're ready, lengthen it out in front. So you're trying to get a sense of the arm and the leg being in the same line. Bring the hand down gently, bend the knee, bring the foot off landings, bring the block back across the front of the mat, sink into the forward fold as we bring the hands onto the hips to lift up. Inhale high, and through the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Right foot back. Hands come forward again. Take a moment. Make sure we're happy. And when you're ready, little spring and exhale and a lift. Square the body up. So that's hips, leg, feet. Weight into the right hand. You turn the block forwards. Left hand just dangles down for a moment. So the shoulders nice and relaxed. Palm faces in. Slowly inhale that hand out. Oops, I found the wall. Thought it was going to be there. So ideally, the hand faces into the center line. It doesn't bump into a wall. And then we'll release the hand down to the floor. Soften the front knee. Bring the foot back in. Take a little breath. We'll move the block towards the back of the mat from where we are. Hands onto the hips. We'll lift up for the last time. Inhale high. And hands into the heart and exhale down to the floor. Bring a hand to the ground. Step back into my down dog position. And a little stretch of the hips up towards the sky and opening into the shoulders, and then into plank and let the knees to the floor. Spin the feet out. Roll onto my bottom. And start with the legs out in front. Just drawing the flesh out a little bit. We're in Dandasana. Again, just letting the body kind of rebalance itself, recenter, get the heart rate back under control and the breath. It doesn't go sort of super wild, but you know, we know that the muscles have been working. We've been burning lots of oxygen up, creating a little bit of lactic acid. Neural pathways are firing up. The old muscles in the legs and body and shoulders are starting to tremble a little bit, maybe as we move into some of these postures. We're going to take a little breath from here, bring the hands forwards onto the shin and take a couple of inches of bend in the knee, lift up the chest, fold over and slide the hands down towards the heels. And then draw the hands towards yourself as you bring your chest up and forwards a little bit. Try and keep the toes pointing up towards the sky. And if you notice that your feet are starting to roll around a little bit underneath you, and by that I mean that the big toe starts to come very close to you and the little toe gets further away, then try to flex your feet up towards the sky and push very gently the big toe joint forwards and pull very gently little toe backwards, and it will turn the thighs in towards the center line a little bit more, as if you're squeezing the thighs together, but it's driven from the toes, just realigning the legs into the center, which might not be a completely natural feeling for you. Take a last breath here and release. And we'll take the hands behind and draw the soles of the feet flat to the floor. Shoulders back, belly in, chin stays in towards the chest. We lift the bottom off the ground and we float forwards into our favorite reverse tabletop, drawing the belly in. We lift the hips up slowly, looking down two parallel thighs, hopefully pressing the shoulders away. Down, we come back down to the floor, and yes, we swing through, pivot on the heels, chest and shoulders come forwards, and then we bring the feet to the floor again, smoothly missing the ground, lifting up, coming back, all the way to the back of the mat, forwards, coming through, lift it up, down, and back, through, up, knees over heels, bottom just an inch from the floor, swing it back, draw the core muscles in, last time for lifting up, last time for rolling back, bottoms to the floor. Cross the ankles over, roll onto our bellies, feet a little bit wider than the shoulders, bootlaces down, we'll take the hands towards the floor. On the inhale, we'll lift the chest and arms away from the ground, squeeze the shoulder blades together a little bit, and exhale down. We'll take 4 more. Last one. And we take 5 with the legs lifting as well, sides from the ground. Try to lift the thighs first, then chest and the arms. 2 more. Last one. Bring the hands back underneath the ribs, press into the ground, put knees forwards, and we'll move towards the back of the mat again with the feet forwards, knees high, rolling down. Bring the fingers down towards the heels. Nice long neck, roll the shoulders underneath. Feet are this is the part of the knees, which hopefully are hip distance apart. Draw the belly in and slowly curl the spine up towards the sky into bridge. Knees forwards, shoulders down, palms and hands into the floor, rolling back down into the ground. Don't worry about getting super high as you exhale on the way up. Think about drawing the knees forwards and getting length in the body, and then just rolling yourself down. And take one more little lift. Ease the way back down. Move the block under the back of the head. Easier said than done. Take the arms out wide again. And feet close in towards the bottom. So toes, heels, and knees touch. And we'll go to the left. Ourselves back up. And therefore go to the right. And bring the knees back up again. That feels good. I'm going to take the left leg up to the sky, cross the legs over, and then draw the knees in towards the body. Take the hands onto the shins. Let the chin come in towards the chest. Draw the knees in a little more as you take a little bit of a crunch. And then if you're able to, take the hands out to the heels. Take the feet as wide as you can, and then roll the spine gently back down to the floor, squeezing the thighs together a little bit. Just a fraction. You should feel a bit of a stretch around some of the parts of your hips that maybe you haven't felt for a while. Release. Now, feet come to the floor, untangle the legs. And you're probably guessing that we're going to go to the second side. You'd be absolutely right. We take that right leg up and cross it over. Thigh on top of thigh. Draw the knees in towards the body. Chin come in towards the chest. Crunch a little bit. Take the hands onto the shins, walking down. Let the feet go nice and wide. So you can see what you're doing. Get the feet more or less the same height either side. A little visual check. And then roll the spine down gently. Head to the floor. And just a little squeeze of the thighs together. Doesn't need to be a lot. You'll definitely know when you've done it. You'll feel a particular set of muscles in the hips when you do a little squeeze. You see. And then the breath. And release. Woohoo. Yeah, feet come to the floor. You can shake the legs out. And bring your feet to the floor. Slide the heels out to the corner edges of the mat for a very well-earned Shavasana. Arms up towards the sky. Just allow yourself to wriggle the spine out, hips, legs, shoulders, fingers, whatever means to wriggle and lengthen away. And then as you close your eyes and soften your jaw, just let yourself take a really big sigh. And then breathe normally. Wiggle the fingers gently. Wiggle the toes. Wrists and ankles get to move. Deepen the breath. We use that energy and resource to stretch ourselves out in any way that feels good. Just follow your instincts. And then when you're ready, we'll just gently bring the knees into the body by sliding the heels along the floor towards us. And taking a gentle hug or some easy knee circles or whatever feels really good. Remember that less is more at this stage. And we'll take a breath in as we roll gently over to our right side. And we'll use the exhale to lift gently from the floor back up to sitting. Nice easy posture for us to sit in. Lengthen the spine, let the eyes open. The head clears a little. Bring the hands into the heart as we take a breath in. Letting the chin drop to the chest, we draw the belly in. To the floor, just simple acknowledgement, closing our practice. Inhale, we lift the head. Open the eyes, acknowledge our efforts. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you on the mat soon, some other day.